Over the lads, everybody, welcome to a new show, match preview of Newcastle United and Bournemouth. We're going to do the preview. We got some news, of course. You know, Newcastle never lets us down. We got Callum Wilson to talk about. We got Ashworth to talk about because we talked about it yesterday, but you know, a few guys are back, so I want to get their opinions on this situation as well. But before we start, of course, you know, we gotta do a few plugins. Um, Remember to like, subscribe. If you're new to the chat, you know, go ahead and subscribe. Like the video. The way more magpies come on the show. You can now become a member of the NUFC Insider. So you can just click the join button. I heard today that if you're on iPhone, you can't really see the join button. You have to go through it with a link or a PC or something like that. I don't know how that's even possible in today's world, but I guess iPhone is just it's just like that, different. But yeah, you can become a member. Big shout out to Terry Cook, just became a member as well. Lewis, Newcastle fan. The mighty win. He's with us always on the shows, and he decided to become a member as well. So I appreciate everybody's support. You get special emojis, special badges as well. I think everybody right now will have the Lewis Miley badge. You know, you're still young members, so you have that badge. But as you get along the lines, you can reach up to like 2 years or something like that. So it's gonna be great. You know, we're growing and we're thankful of everybody really, you know, coming on and having their say and subscribing and chatting with us. So it's great. So um I guess we could start with talking about the Wilson situation. I mean, I woke up and I saw it all over the place. Keith Downey confirming it, Craig Hope confirming it. And I mean, it's really I really don't know what to think about it. I mean, at this point, I keep drinking beer, but so that's not going to help my liver. But so what I decided today was I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to get upset anymore. So I said, you know what? I drink a lot of beer, so I'm just gonna. That's not going to help my liver, but at least I'm not going to get upset at Newcastle United anymore. So that's going to last probably until today. Who knows? Until match day. But let me start with welcome Mason as well to the chat. Um, Paul, let me start with you, man. Another injury, another blow. I think Philip was saying it behind the scenes that his season is over with. And yeah, what do you think, bro?
Well, yeah, it says it could be up to 12 weeks, this injury. I mean, I know there's been some reports out there. It looks like he did it when he shoved the guy. I can't remember what his name is, sorry, but he shoved him. Thank you. And he kind of held his muscle there. It's weird how easy it is to go. I'll share. I know it's pointless to football, but a wrestling-related story is that Randy Orton did his putting out the trash. You know, literally just carrying the bin bag out, and his pectoral went. So sometimes it can go quite easily. It is usually done while working out. So whether there's truth behind him showing off, who knows? But it's just our luck and his luck. His whole career has just been marred by. I know this is not the exact injury that's been his main problem, but his whole career, Bournemouth included, it's just been marred by injury. This guy, I swear, if he was injury free, his numbers would be up there with Harry Kane. I swear, because he's that good. It really would be. He's that. When he was on his, run for us last season, he was scoring more per minute than Haaland. So he's no slouch. This guy. It's just he's just never fit. This is what it's marred his Newcastle career. It's marred his England career. He's going to be one of those what ifs of football, I think, which is sad because he's going to be one of those people look back and think like, God, if that guy was fit his whole career, what on earth would his numbers have been like? Do you know what I mean? Like it's crazy to think of where he could have been. Fully fit in a really good Newcastle squad, and Bournemouth when Bournemouth were on it. He was doing well there. So it's just like I said, it's our luck at the moment, and it's his luck. I just bloody hope that Isaac's back because I know Gordon can do a job up there, but I don't like him there.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Eddie really likes it too much either. But Roy, welcome to first time Roy is on the channel, so welcome you, my brother. Thank you for being on. It's really late in Qatar, so you already know he's committed to his craft. But Roy, I mean,
thanks, mate.
What do you think, man?
I only found out a few hours ago because I was at work today, and and then I looked at one of the WhatsApp groups, and so someone said that 12 weeks was was he done? And then they said, what? So it's not his fault anyway, but now we're gonna regret what we did in the summer, or what we didn't do in the summer, which is, I think, it was a disastrous transfer window. At the time, we were like, yeah, everybody's fit, and where they went and bought Hall and Livramento, and it just went. And now look, the team's suffering. You can't go with two strikers who are always prone to injuries like this. And now we haven't got one.
Right.
And it happened in the middle of the Champions League because we played the second game against Dortmund without a striker. So it's just happening again. We could have got anyone on loan as a number 9. It doesn't matter, but I'm hoping Gordon can get the job done. So I mean, we'll have Miggy. Murphy's there, Miggy's there on the wing, Barnes is there, so it's not as bad. Anyway, even when Wilson's there, he doesn't get any service from the wingers, so it's similar. It might be blessing in disguise. You never know.
Right. Yeah. That could be. This could be the cherry on top that makes not only Eddie but the whole team, the directive say, you know what, it's we can't. I mean, unfortunately, we just can't hold on to a fella that just doesn't stay healthy. We already have Isak. That's the people are starting to put that label on him now. I don't think he has it fully yet. This made of glass label on Isak, but people are getting there. Let me get to Mason. Mason, welcome, brother. Your second show. I appreciate you coming on. What do you think about this situation with Callum Wilson?
It's the same old. But honestly, I've never heard of an injury like that before. But with him needing surgery and being out for potentially the rest of the season, I feel like we need to cash in on him in the summer, because it's constantly getting to the time where we need to reinforce the striker department, because it's getting the hand of saying Wilson coming back and then in a certain time frame when he's injured again. We just need to get a decent striker out who isn't injury prone like Wilson, because we can't have this going into, if we're wanting to be in Europe next season. It's just constantly happening season by season.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. Kevin, welcome to the show, man. You lied to me. I thought you said you were going to go to dinner, but you didn't.
Well,
so that's
plans have changed a little bit. So yeah,
That's
so
okay,
I'm waiting
man.
for women to get dressed, so I decided.
Oh, yeah, we can have a show for 4 hours, man. Don't worry about that. But
my sister said I'm not talking to you. No,
but yeah, what do you think, man?
I've just had a look at it, being my sports science injury side of it, and understand the pectoral injury, and it could be innocuous, but just looking at it from a quick Dr. Google search, it looks like it could be a pectoralis major tendon, which attaches your pectoral to your arm. So that doesn't bode well, because that's got to reattach and heal. Hence the length of time. Again, it's innocuous. It could have been ruptured earlier in the season with the workload that he's kind of undertaken, but with the physicality that he plays with his arms up a lot. So it could have just happened gradually, like an overuse type of injury. So it is a weird one, but once I seen him put his arm in his shirt, it looked like not a dislocated shoulder, but it looked obviously worse than what it is. And Eddie Howe comes out and says, "Oh no, it's nothing to worry about. It'll be a couple of weeks, we'll fix it out." Blah, blah, blah.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the famous phrase, but at the same time, when he says that, it's always 4 months, when he's so. What do you believe? But a quick search of even if you haven't got a sports science degree, you can figure it out pretty quickly what could potentially go wrong. And there's a lot of muscle in there. There's a lot of around the shoulder area, around the pectoral major tendon, which attaches that muscle to the arm, to the humerus. So again, it's unfortunate for the lad. However, it's expected. Unfortunately, our good old friend Mitch's ligaments made of licorice and muscles made of marshmallows. Essentially, that's the key phrase. It's very made of glass-like. It's very inconsistent of actually being available to play. And I wouldn't be surprised in the summer that, what Mason said in terms of getting rid of, letting him go, but at the same time, what value are you going to get from him? Who's gonna pick up a player who's played a third of the games? Yes, the games ratio is pretty high, and a very good one. Like you said, Chris, in terms of Haaland and all the rest of it, yeah, that's great. But the inconsistency of getting or moving him on to another club is going to be the hardest part. That's in which we'll probably talk about the director's football's responsibility and all the rest of it. That's his job. That's how can we move him on, and from a fiscal point of view, and get him back A, into our team, or B, move him on to a team where he's going to be very successful. Not saying he's not a Premier League footballer. I think he is. I just don't think it's going to be with us. Unfortunately, because I love the lad. Little shout out to him if he's watching. Probably isn't, but if he is, he sent my son for his 14th birthday a little birthday message. So he's got a heart. He's a genuinely good lad. He's genuinely a good guy. But unfortunately, in football, sentiment means nothing. We can't be sentimental towards it, and we just might have to cut the tie and move on from him. But again, who do you get in? That's the other argument.
Yeah, that is true. Our own Paul Clark just became a member, so thank you, my brother. Well, so thank you, man, always for your support, man. Just not only this is a big deal, obviously, but just coming on, taking time. I appreciate you, man, always. But what you were saying, Kevin, you just literally ghosted me right now. No, but I see that you say no. But the fans are also thinking like that. Gary says, "Can anyone see a club buying him with his injury record?" I mean, to be honest with you, that is something that at the end of the day, you can't have it all. I mean, you either get rid of him. It's more than likely going to be for a cheaper price. But I mean, we have heard of, which is amazing. But throughout this mid transfer window that we had, Chelsea was rumored, Manchester United, even Atletico Madrid wanted him for a loan. You see what I'm saying? So it's
there's interest there.
It's definitely interesting. But let me go to Philip. Philip, man, appreciate you being back on the show. Callum Wilson, man, what do you make of it?
I think look, at the end of the day, we've had up to 14 injuries most of the season, or between 8 to 14 meeting the max. There is one table that we have been on top of all season, and that's the injury rate table. And so when you have a lack of rotation, don't forget before this injury, he had obviously the hamstring injury. He came back and was playing 2 games a week. And we already know that even when fit, he struggles to play 2 games a week. But he had to play 2 games a week because Isak wasn't fit, and I think Murphy was just coming back in. And so I think it's not just Callum Wilson, there's other players that unfortunately, and I think Dan Burr mentioned this in an interview or something, where players were brought back in earlier than the manager would have liked. Eddie Howe does not like to bring in players into the squad as they're recouping and recovering. So it's a bit difficult. And especially with this time it isn't his hamstrings, for instance, which are the typical injuries that he gets. It was a rough fight with Niakate. Wilson was doing what he's supposed to do, what we love he does, which is bounce off defenders, fight them, wrestle them. That's what he's supposed to do, and kept them occupied. So players like Gordon and others have got time to do the nice technique football style and do the rest of it. So that's been unfortunately our luck all season. In terms of Callum Wilson, of course there'll be teams after him, especially when they know they can recover. We have to remember, we bought Chris Wood for 25 million. I'll take Callum Wilson with one leg. over Christian. Now, that was too cheeky. I'm sorry about that. But just to say that, there will be clubs that would want to have I nearly said Chris Wood, Callum Wilson in there, at least on their bench or coming off their bench. I don't think Wilson will mind that either for Atletico, for Chelsea and others, maybe even Saudi Arabia, depends who it is. So I think there'll definitely be suitors. And again, this has been the story for our team throughout. I mean, we've got Isak rumored to be coming back in. We're supposed to be coming back on the bench. Now Eddie Howe might have to consider putting him in the squad, which I know he would not want to do. So it's happened. We're rolling with the punches. Unfortunately, I think by this stage of the season, I'm like, yeah, it is what it is for us now. So it's happened, but we've done well. In terms of just our underlying metrics, for instance, we've scored as many goals as, for instance, as Tottenham, who are 4th or 5th now, conceded only 3 goals more than them. And I know defensively this season, we can now say that's been a bad season for us. A couple of years ago, would have took someone's arm off to only have conceded 36 goals by this season. So I think there is, as you can probably tell, I'm very much a glass half full type of guy in terms of Newcastle, and so. Yeah, I think we're still doing all well. I would love to have Callum Wilson available. We don't, but we move on.
Yeah, no, that is true. We can't have, feelings have to be the emotional. I mean, I guess you can feel bad for the guy, but at the end of the day, you as a club, football, unfortunately, you must move on, man. That's just the way football is. The Mighty Win is on the show. You got the dog out, man. You put where's the dog? Oh, you got what is that wine? Hey, this guy is always drinking something, man. I'm telling you. But hey, Mighty Win is in on the show, man. What do you think about Callum Wilson? Are you going to protect him like you protect every Newcastle player? Oh, what's happening?
Listen, guys, made of glass, but there's a couple of ways of looking at this. He's had effectively in his career, through injuries, he's had effectively about 2.5 seasons out. 2 bad ACLs and with bits and pieces. That means, in theory, you could say, if he gets fit and could stay fit, you're going to get an extra 2.5 seasons out of him at the end of his career. And nobody will convince me other than the fact that when he is fit, he's one of the best strikers you could want in the Premier League. He's phenomenal. But the trouble is he's never fit. And it's my own. I've been going on about this for years. The best ability you can have is availability. And if you're not available,
yep.
But honestly, somebody could be getting a proper bargain. I would take it. If somebody said 20 million for Callum right now, I would take it. I don't think I would take any less. But anybody who was buying him for 20 million, okay, they're taking a gamble on his fitness, but by God, they're getting one hell of a player.
Yeah, I mean, but again, at the end of the day, I think we agree there. I mean, he's a cool guy. You can feel bad for him, but at the end of the day, you want him you got to show him the door a little bit. The nice way.
Do you think Crystal Palace would be interested if we wanted someone like Eze and we did a bit of money in Callum Wilson? Do you think they'd be interested in that?
I think it would depend upon who they've got running the show there. Whoever's making the decision, are we prepared to gamble on being able to keep him fit? Callum Wilson, listen, earlier on this season and towards the back end of last season, when him and Isaac were both fit, I use the word loosely, but when they were rotated, so they were each playing like 60 minutes, alternate games. They were fantastic, scoring goals for fun. But you cannot play. I don't care what anybody says. You cannot play Callum Wilson 2 games a week, 3 weeks on the trot. His body will not stand up to that. And it's looking as though Isaac's going to be the same, by the way.
You think that's the problem? That is the biggest problem right there. That you right now, again, I don't think, from my perspective, that Isak has that cloud over him just yet. But it is building. It is building up. It's starting to thunder a little bit. The cloud is starting to form. And listen, on a good day, Isak to me is the second best striker in the league behind Haaland. But if he can't play, then we have a problem. Let me get what Tony has to say about the Wilson situation. How you doing, Tony?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, sorry we're late to the party because my show overran.
You're good, bro.
You know, but been an interesting chat tonight. Wilson injury. I mean, look, I was joking about this last week, saying, "Oh, I wonder if we'll get past 2 games before we get, without him getting injured." And we haven't. It's still 2 games and he's got injured. But do you know what it is? Look, the guy, maybe the past injuries are now catching up with him and his body just can't take it now, maybe. I would say now's the time to cash in on him on the summer. If somebody says, we'll give you 20 million, snap their hands off, take it and run. Take it and run. And get another striker in who can at least try and stay fit for most of the season, if not all of the season. Because, this weekend we ain't got Isak. We don't know if he's back or not. We'll probably find out more of Eddie's presser tomorrow. But yeah, look, it's not great when he's breaking down like this. And now he's out for 9 to 12 weeks, potentially, which could potentially rule him out of being in the Euros as well, which would be a massive blow for him because, he's probably looking forward to going to the Euros. But that trip to Germany may be out the window now.
Do you reckon he was going?
He's not going.
Even fit? Do you think he was going anyway, even if fit with Southgate?
I think he would have, yeah.
Really?
I think he would have gone ahead of Watkins, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Henderson can play in Saudi Arabia and still play over Maddison and everybody else.
Did you hear that Southgate went over just to watch him in Germany the other day? I mean, what is that about? What is that about?
And he missed the Villa game and Chelsea. I can't remember what game it was where it was like at least 13 English players that were.
Yeah.
It was our game against Luton.
Oh, was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to. Go ahead, Derek.
We've got massive striker problems at the minute, allegedly, and yet this year is the first ever in a top division in our history where we've scored 51 goals in the first 24 games. Now, how mad is that? I mean, think about the entertainers, all the great teams in the past. This season is the first time we've ever scored more than 50 goals in the first 24 games in the top league.
Wow, that's a start. That's a start. Wow.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I think that yesterday we talked about it. I think Derek, you probably and Mason, you guys were there. I mean, most of you agreed that if we were healthy, we would be top 4, if not higher than that. But because of what we've actually been able to do with all the injuries and everybody out. I mean, the fact that we have eliminated Manchester City, we eliminated Manchester United, we beat Chelsea, we beat all these guys. I mean, Arsenal, even though they're still crying about it, we beat everybody, and even in the Champions League, we could have still been in the Champions League if it wasn't for that one call, if it wasn't for that blasphemy that happened at Paris. So I'm telling you, I can argue that we could have been top 4. I'm just gonna say top 4. Higher than that, who knows? But I do believe that. But I want to go one more round with you guys and talk.
The thing is,
yeah, go ahead, Tony.
Sorry, thing is, Chris, that as you say, blasphemy in Paris. The thing is, though, I still can't get my head around it.
Right.
Why VAR, the guy on the VAR, is gone against the UEFA rules, because the UEFA rules clearly state if it comes off the body first and hits the hand, it's not a handball. So I'm still wondering why he's gone about that, unless the owner has gone and given him a couple of brown envelopes and said, there you go, take a brown envelope. Or as Paul says, checking the badge. But but I was praising that referee, up until that instant, because I thought he had a great game. He had a great World Cup final when it was France-Argentina. Brilliant referee, I thought. And then he let himself down. He should have had the balls to stand at that monitor and say, no, I'm sticking by my decision. It's not handball. We'll play on. But because them players were screaming behind him, especially Mbappe, he thought the pressure was on him and he bottled it. He bottled it big style. And, you know, and yeah, okay, we should have beat Milan and we could have been into the next round of the, you know, the Champions League and played Real Sociedad, or had we just got that draw in Milan, we would have been playing Rennes tonight. But thankfully, in some ways, I'm pleased we're not in Europe, because if we were playing Rennes tonight, we wouldn't have a striker, would we? So let's be thankful of that.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Now, let's obviously we're going to talk about the match this weekend. We've talked enough about also Dan Ashworth and you know, and all that stuff. I didn't get some of you guys to take. Well, we can do. We can get Paul, Roy, Philip. Yeah, damn, everybody almost didn't have wasn't here yesterday. So yeah, let me get you guys your take on Dan Ashworth yesterday, or the yesterday news, and today. Today, I don't know what's happening today, because today Manchester United we're supposed to get this guy, that guy instead of Ashworth. So I don't know, man. But what I want to get your point of view as a fan, you know, somebody that follows Newcastle. Let me start with Paul. Paul, what are your thoughts on this situation?
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's all conjecture until it's done. My opinion is if it's true and he's happy to go, then it's kind of like, see you later. You know, if you're not interested in probably the most interesting project in football, to go look after a bunch of clowns down there, fine. We'll see you later, mate. Like, you know, I found it funny that Sky Sports, that guy, what's his name, the reporter, got community noted because he said that Dan Ashworth was behind Bruno. He wasn't even at the club when Bruno came in. You know, just these stupid things that Botman, he was put about Botman. He wasn't behind Botman. He wasn't in the club. You know, so these silly deals that he's been linked to. I think one of the biggest things he's done is probably Gordon. I think that's probably the biggest things he's done for the club, like influence-wise. We haven't had many of the successes that Brighton have had with him. I know he hasn't been there that long, but like I said, if his head's turned, if he's going to go work with his mate in Man United, then do you know what I mean? If his head has generally turned, what can we do? How can you keep someone who's already on the way out? It's impossible. You know, it's just one of those things where if his head's turned, if his heart's not in Newcastle United, we want someone who is interested in us.
Right.
And I'll tell you right now, that job, how many people are going to apply for that job if he leaves? It'd be a very sought after job. So for me, it'd be sad to lose someone who is that well thought of, you know, because he is. A lot of people do think highly of him. I've heard some dodgy stuff as well, which I don't know. You know, I don't know how that works. Like Gary Neville, apparently in his ear at a Newcastle game, talking to him about like Man United allegedly happened. I mean, I don't know what the rules are about that happening. So it's been, a few dodgy things that have been said about what's been going on. But like I said, if his head's turned and he wants to go, we're Newcastle fans. If he's a Man United fan and wants to go there, see you later, mate.
Yeah.
Have fun with the Glazers.
Yeah, you're right. Shout out to my wife. She just became a member. She's spending my own money on my own channel. I guarantee you, she didn't use her card.
Well done.
Yeah. Well done.
So, yeah,
well done.
That's one way to support the channel. So yeah, go on. Good. I appreciate you, babe. But anyways, Roy, what are your take on Ashworth, brother? Ashworth.
Well, if he wants to go, then you can't do anything about it. But I kept reading all these articles and things about what's happening, and I'm not. Some rumors are that he's not getting along with the Eddie team and who's there. Some of the players he bought Eddie didn't want, and some of the players Eddie wanted he didn't want, and so for me, I look at the summer window, and if it's him behind that summer transfer window, then I'm happy he can go, because it was a disaster. They didn't look at the big picture. Okay, it's good building for the future. Not when it's your first season in the Champions League and if you've got a lacking first 11. And that's exactly what's happened. He went and bought all these players So we've got 20 right backs now and 70 left backs, but we haven't got a right winger. It doesn't make
Suit
sense.
me.
Yeah, you sell Maxi. Okay, Maxi doesn't suit what Eddie Howe was doing. So you get rid of Maxi and you get another one to play behind Gordon, and you pay another 20 million on top. It just doesn't make sense. You get a haul from Chelsea on loan, and you still don't play him. And when he played, he wasn't even good enough anyway. So who bought these players? Was it him? Was it Eddie? Are they clashing? I've got no idea. But if it was him, I'm happy to see him go, because sometimes these directors are lucky. Like the club where I work, one season they go and buy 2-3 players, works out, they win the cup, everybody's a genius. 2-3 seasons later, the same guys are buying 3-4 players, and it doesn't work, it flops. So sometimes you're just lucky. I know. Well, look at Brighton. He left, didn't he? They're still getting good players.
Yeah.
So, and usually he's not just one guy; it's a whole system. So maybe he's just built this. And what we've got Bruno before him, Trippier. What was it? It was Isaac before he came as well. So if you look at our the core of the team, it wasn't even him. So yeah, if he goes, he goes. I'm not bothered. We've seen worse. We've had Ashley 2 years ago, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, and it doesn't. I mean, with all due respect, I know Mighty Win, he defends everybody that's there right now, but you know, I don't think he's done. You know, amazing to start crying. The amount of media coverage and Sky Sports wanking off of this one. Oh, yeah, it
Yeah.
just, you know, I mean, I don't understand the fuss. He
It's
wants to go. He
because
wants
it's
to go.
Man United. It's because
Right.
it's Man United.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Philip, what do you think? What do you think about this, man?
Yeah, I think look, I think Newcastle are very good at recruiting staff. I think he's not the first one. We had I think an analyst that we bought from it's not Brighton. I want to say Liverpool.
It was
And
Liverpool, yeah.
He was a Liverpool, and then he was there for 18 months, and then moved on to Man City.
Yeah.
And then obviously, I know people don't might want to hear it, but like I look at us as a big club in terms of especially behaving as a big club. I'm not overly worried in terms of. At the end of the day, he's a great technical director. We recruit really well, and he moved on. Man United are a huge global brand, as much as I can grit for my teeth and saying it, and so he sees it as a bigger thing. So I prefer Newcastle, whether player, manager, staff member, kitchen lady, by people who want to be at Newcastle, because that's how I value my club. The other thing in terms of what Ashworth actually does, and I know that there's a whole thing about transfer windows and stuff like that. He said what he does. He's like the spoke in the middle of the wheel. He makes sure that every department is moving in one direction and everything that they're doing. He has certain specialities. Talent spotting is not one of them, but it is in terms of like concluding deals and getting deals over the line, which is fine. And he's really, really good at that. Man United really need that. A person that can do that. And I think they're getting the other person they mentioned from Man City is going to work. Is going to be more of a technical director, if that makes sense. I don't know fully how it's going to work out, but they're going to get him and Ashworth in. So I say all that to say this: that if we're going to get Ashworth, obviously Ashworth's going to leave, he can leave. That's fine. I'm very confident in terms of who's going to come in to replace him. I'm confident that the hierarchy will ensure that he leaves, but he leaves on our terms. Whether that's going to be a huge compensation that we can put into the funding into the summer window, or if it's going to be on a very long garden leave, like the one we had to wait for, and you know what? At the same time, it's what happens. We did the same thing to Brighton, and Brighton had their whole infrastructure gutted by Chelsea and others. But the one person who created all of it, people couldn't get, and that's Mr. Bloom himself. So I feel like a lot of teams, and it's a shame in my view, whether it's Man United, Chelsea, instead of doing the hard work in terms of creating a culture of excellence in your club like you used to have, you as absolute institutions, you are now gutting other clubs who've never even won competitions, with all due respect to Brighton, but they are one of the best run clubs. It's more of a failure onto them that they can't do that. But at the same time, it could be scary settings in terms of Man United, in terms of how the new owners coming in. and he's looking to spend big money, but he's really looking to spend it wisely. I think we're still, thankfully, I think we're about a year and a bit ahead of them in terms of that. We're recognized as one of the best run clubs, and I'm hoping that we'll get a director, and I think we will get a director that will be just as good or even better. My only concern is, I think Roy talked about it, if the rumors are true that I don't mind if there's healthy tensions between your head scout, for instance, the manager and the technical director, because through the council of many, hopefully you get a little bit more wiser decisions than the people that you buy. But if it's to the point where, and journalists are journalists, like for instance, I was hearing Craig Hope inferring a lot, and I'm thinking, just say, you know what you're saying, that, you know, he was saying that Ashworth was outside of Howe's inner circle. You know, as far last time I checked, Howe is the head coach. He's not the technical director. So it is the picture they're trying to paint of Howe is that he's like the underboss. He's the guy that's running things there, and you know, and it's all on him. So whatever transfers of players, so that's what. Then obviously the story before that was we're getting these two players. We're getting Lloyd Kelly and Philip Billings, who I personally don't mind, but I understand the picture that's already been painted. Or, you know, we might as well set up a training ground outside Bournemouth Stadium and get their technical directors, get their players, because this is all Eddie Howe, which is an interesting thing. If it's true, it's one thing, but if it's not true, why this big hurrah against Eddie Howe, essentially? I don't think it's true. But yeah, I'll end it on this. I think we're a big club. I think we'll get a better technical director in. I've got no reason to believe we won't, because our recruitment has been spot on so far. Even when we didn't get the players or managers that we wanted. For instance, we wanted Unai Emery, who's doing a fantastic job at Aston Villa. We've got Howe, and who's doing a fantastic job for us. So I'm very confident in the recruitment that we're doing.
Yeah. Well, we can start talking about Newcastle, Bournemouth in the weekend. We talked enough about these news that really are not news unless they get confirmed. What's up, Kevin?
The missus is ready. She's ready.
No, she's not ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I've received some information today.
Oh.
Obviously, we know that Ashworth was having meetings today, and that was with all international and national recruitment staff, which is very interesting. And said person, I can't say who, I'll get my ass kicked, being blunt, directed said Dan Ashworth to one other part of the stadium, because A, didn't know where he was going, but B, he had other meetings going on within the stadium today and across into tomorrow, which we all know, which has been publicized through the media and all the rest of it, and they're going for dinner, blah, 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 blah. Also, it's not, from what I understand and what I've heard from one particular person, it's not a dispute between Eddie Howe. I'll say it's the dispute between his nephew within the recruitment team. So that's the dispute from what I've been told.
Yeah, but I mean, go ahead. Sorry, finish.
Yeah, Eddie Howe's nephew is a part of the recruitment staff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off,
but and my point is, I understand in terms of the trust that Eddie Howe has to have for a recruitment team.
Okay, got it.
But it comes across as, you know, if you were the head of recruitment for Memphis FC, just for argument's sake, you know, then it's a job for the boys. It comes across as that, and I know that internally that's how it is. That's why you've got Scholler as the loans coordinator, whatever the fuck that means. You've got others who I know personally who are in there in recruitment in terms of scouting locally, who've got no idea about the game, but got no idea about the game. They've got
I mean,
I watched the. If you watch the FA Youth Cup game against Bournemouth when we got slapped 5, One of the major problems was one of their players, who's a centre half. I'm not going to name names, but you can figure it out and watch it back. Made a major mistake, and one of their grandfather is a head scout within the region. All of a sudden, now he's playing for the under-18s. Now, all of a sudden, all these things are happening. Bobby Clark leaves for Liverpool. Lee Clark would have been a perfect example of going and be a director of football, under-21s coach, head of the 18s. I know Graham Carrick personally, and I feel sorry for him because he's losing players left, right, and centre. So yeah, it's not the dispute between Howe and Ashworth. It's the outer circle, if you will. Yes, the inside part of it, but there's a dispute outside of it. But I've told you this, and I'll say it again. Again, I've been told that it's Steve Nixon, and Steve Nixon said to this said person, and that's who's told me, if he didn't get anybody in January past window, his head is on a chopping block. And that's the head of recruitment. And I understand that in terms of the fiscal responsibilities that he has to have. Dan Ashworth doesn't come across as where he has to identify players. He just finalizes the deals and gets them in and makes them feel welcome, do the executive role essentially. So I wouldn't be surprised if, and again, I've spoke to this said person today, the massive overhaul of the academy and the under-21s and and younger, all the way younger. Now I've got friends who I played football with who've got kids in this academy who've said it's been a massive overhaul of how it's been operated. So not saying that Dan Ashworth's going to leave. I just think he's still got his project set in place, that he's still got a lot more to do and overhaul it even more. But again, we're going to get, what, £20+ million for him? Granted, he can go and do his gardening leave, all the rest of it. But at the same time, everything's been put in place already to go forward. So it's going to be very interesting. Like I said on NUFC Matters, I don't think he'll leave. I think he's invested in what he's got to do. Yes, the money's there. Yes, he's mates with the cycling, Great Britain cycling, sir, whatever. I don't know, you know his name. But yes, right. But yeah, so your mates, your friends. Yeah, you got friends in high places, whatever, who's a part of Ineos and all the rest of it. But we know is Ineos have got other fingers in a lot of other pies. Where's that money going to come from to where to invest to go forward and what actually Man United need and want? So is that a good move for him personally? Football's a merry-go-round. I would quite happily go and do it, but I'm just saying from that side of it, I wouldn't be surprised if he's still here in the summer.
Yeah.
Can I ask a clarifying question, Chris? Just clarifying question. Just to say, ask, like when you said if no one gets, because I was wondering this thing, we didn't buy anyone, and obviously that was the whole FFP thing. But I was wondering if there was a situation in the hierarchy that was stopping anyone from buying anything, and if obviously your sporting director is whether staying or leaving, or whether your manager is staying or leaving. For instance, there's rumors around Eddie Howe in England. Like when you said, if we don't get anybody and someone's head's on the chopping block, is that the nephew or Dan Ashworth?
Steve Nixon, head of recruitment. That's his job.
Okay. So he wasn't doing it?
No, because I'm players to bring players in regarding, yes, the fiscal financial fair play element.
Yeah.
From what I understand, he wasn't doing his job efficiently to what I guess Dan Ashworth was requiring and Eddie Howe and the hierarchy were wanting. And that was verbatim to who I speak to on a regular basis.
Yeah.
All right. Was overheard, and he said that's my head's on the chopping block. anybody in.
We'll see. We'll see how this develops. I mean, we have to wait and see. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. Craig Hope and Keith Downey, kind of, two people that, people look for when it comes to news, have said that there's been an agreement between Ashworth and Manchester United, and that it could be, completed within a week or something like that. I don't want to say exactly what they said because I don't remember, but it's something out there. So we just have to wait and see. We got to talk about the game in the weekend. Newcastle Bournemouth. I would say, in my opinion, a must win for Newcastle United. Bournemouth 13th in the league, 27 points. Newcastle 36 points. We still got to climb. We still got a chance, a legitimate shot of finishing in European football. I think that it can be done. But I want to get your take on what you think and how you think we should approach this game. Let me start with Paul. Paul, what do you think? What do you think about this match this weekend, man?
Isn't it our luck that it might look like the 2 times we've played Bournemouth, we don't have a fit striker. It's just last time we played them, we didn't have a fit striker, and we stunk out the place. We were awful. That's one of our worst performances of the season. And it's just our luck that it might even be that way on Saturday now. I'm just praying that Isak's close enough to coming back because, yeah, like I said, I don't really like Gordon up the middle. I don't think it works as well. It's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, Bournemouth they're a weird side. They're hot and cold themselves at times. They can blow teams away and be very, very good and look amazing. And then they have those days where they look like a bottom half club. They play well. They get silly goals scored against them and look a bit disjointed at times. I think he's done a great job there. I mean, to be fair, they were pretty much down and out before he came in, and he's just revolutionised them really. So, and you've got Solanke on fire, playing really well, getting linked to us. As a future, prospect to come into the club. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see where we are because Nottingham Forest was a strange game. It was a really, really strange game. We were very good at times, but we were very poor in that game as well. I think we deserved to win, but we did ride our luck a few times. Dan Burn was found out again. But it is what it is. Again, I'm going to piss everyone off. But I'm telling you again, I'm going to keep saying this every time. And when we get to predictions, it will be the same. If Dan Burn is fit, he will start on Saturday. I don't care if it annoys you. He will start on Saturday.
Oh, the mighty win. Oh, look at that.
Don't upset him.
He's celebrating.
But yeah, for me, we just need to, if we play our normal game, we should be okay. I just still worry about our midfield. That's my biggest worry is our midfield because Nottingham Forest will get them through it. And they're not, I'm not saying they're a bad side, but they're not a great side. Bournemouth, I think Bournemouth are a better team than Nottingham Forest, in my personal opinion. I think they play better and I think they coach better. And that worries me because our midfield at times, it's like a knife through butter at times. It's a shambles. One ball kills us. And then with that pace in the back four being non-existent, really, with their pace, I'm a bit worried that this could be a repeat of the away game. I really am.
Oh, we'll see. Well, I mean, yeah, you're right. We can't really. People expect that. I think somebody said right now it has to be a must. It's a must win. I do agree with that. But Tiger Studio says must win. Anything less will be a shocking result. Man, we've been shocked. We've been shocked before. And by teams that looked worse. But let me go with Roy. How do we beat Bournemouth, man?
Well, start with who's the right winger? Because
come on, man.
So Dan Burn's gonna start, and I'm just gonna be shit stuff again.
Yeah.
Every game I see him starting, and he's thinking, "Flipping heck, man, how's he playing on the left?" And I get battered. I get battered from the Doha Mags here. I give up. And remember when he scored? He scored against PSG when we won 4-1.
Oh yeah.
Him, Miggy, and Longstaff scored. It's our 3 worst players, I think. And they scored, and I got battered. I got battered for weeks.
Look at this guy to your left.
So I'm worried about Longstaff handling the midfield. Miley's still young, so that's fine. We should win. We're at home. We should win. Yeah, again, we haven't got a centre forward against them. That's twice this season. So we got battered in the first game. So
Yeah.
I still think we played them was during that little period in December when we had those 10 games. So I think we were fitter than then. So yeah, I think we'll win. I
Yeah.
hope I will.
Yeah, that is true. Mighty win, boy. That was not what you wanted to hear, man. That was like putting hot sauce. That was putting hot sauce in your ears, man.
I can handle it.
Show them what a proper Geordie is like.
Everybody points the finger at Big Dan, and it's the midfield that's costing it. And as Saturday proved conclusively to me, one of the big things we are doing wrong is playing Bruno as a 6, because we're just totally wasting his world-class talents as an 8 if we're playing as a 6. So I've been advocating for weeks to shove Shaw up DM and then stick Byrne in midfield, Livramento left back. But blaming Byrne is nonsense. Ronnie, man, away. Any fullback will get skinned by any good winger a couple of times a game, and that's exactly what happened to BDB. But everybody's heard us say this a million times before, so we're going over well-trodden ground. Kev was saying something.
Good point.
I was making notes here. Oh no, that's getting back to Ashworth. Sorry, we're on the
Yeah, man. We're on the game, man. You gotta take your Alzheimer's medicine, man. You gotta take your Alzheimer's medicine today.
By the way, Roy, Bournemouth haven't got an anywhere near half decent right winger, so you're safe there.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of injuries, same as we have. In fact, we've just been talking to Craig from on Tony's channel, and he spoke from his heart. He said win 2-1, but he wasn't really very enthusiastic about that. Yeah. As I say, any game now, I'll take one. At Bournemouth, if we harbour any thoughts at all about top 4,
you got to beat them.
Top 4 or 5, let's say. We've got to beat Bournemouth.
Well, you got to. I see. There we go. You're coming around, man. I like it.
And I'll take 1-0 all day. I don't care how we're getting. I'll just take 3 points.
Yeah,
any game, I'll take 3 points.
Now that's war win, man. That's the win we want. You know what I mean?
When we spoke last night, Chris, you know yourself, I showed you all the fixtures from Spurs, Villa, and Man United, and our running compared to their running. I mean, the 2 run-ins that Spurs and Villa have got are absolute minefields. And I can't see any reason at all that we couldn't fill those 4 or 5 spots if we had a fit striker. And now we've just the Callum's out again. I just don't think putting Gordon in the middle is the answer, because I think putting Gordon in the middle, you're losing so much potency in other aspects. So I mean, I would try something crazy, me. Like I would try even Lascelles, play Lascelles up top. Just stand waiting for balls to come in, because I tell you what, Lascelles knows where the goal is. He's good.
Hey,
Mighty Wayne is our favorite grandpa, man.
And we've got to stiffen up the midfield. That midfield of Miley.
You're gonna have to calm down, man, because I don't want your ticker to start beating real fast. You gotta hold on, brother.
You got no need to worry about me, Chris.
There you go, man. There you go, Tony, mate. What are your thoughts? I mean, how do we beat Bournemouth? You know, the almighty and powerful Bournemouth are coming to town, man.
I mean, look, we did have it tough in December because we had that tough December, so it was one of those games down there. I look back last week, the wingers I played last week was Tavernier and Sinistera. and Semenyo came off the bench in the second half. But look, it'll be a tough game, regardless. They're playing some good football under Areola. He's found his feet now in the Premier League, and he's implementing his style now. And like I said against Luton Town, teams like that, don't underestimate them, because if you start underestimating these teams, they'll come back and bite you in the backside. And as I say, people were saying about Luton Town will win that 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. Now saying, no, it won't be that much. We ended up with a 4-4 draw. So we can't be complacent, that's for sure. The midfield needs tightened up a bit. We're leaving too much of a gap between defence and midfield, which means then, you're leaving a huge amount of space for the quick players to run onto. I mean, we saw that with Elanga, against Forest. And we knew before the match started that Nuno was going to play Elanga on the side where Burn was. Now, obviously, we don't like to upset Derek because Derek likes Dan Burn. Now, even if Dan Burn was on a Zimmer frame, I think Derek would have him playing. But
let's not exaggerate.
Sorry, Derek. But no, I mean, look, I can see why Burn plays there, because obviously Eddie likes him for the height, which is fine, because you can slot him into you can go into that back three sort of thing. But I think we should try Livramento at left back. He's played well at left back. Maybe give Burn a rest on Saturday and play Livramento. We know he did get burnt, Livramento, off Ogbenny in that game against Luton Town as well. But yeah, I think he'll stick with Burn anyway. It'll basically be the same team. Well, apart from obviously Callum Wilson won't be playing on Saturday. That could then give Harvey Barnes the chance to start on Saturday. Yeah. Now, we're not sure if Jacob Murphy will be fit, because he had a slight cough issue before the game, so we're not sure what his fitness is. Miggy had a very poor game last week. Absolute poor game. I don't like Gordon up top because it takes that threat away from the wing with Gordon. But then do you throw someone like Ben Parkinson and give him a chance? I know he's had a couple of cameos as a sub, but maybe give him a start. Who knows? You don't know. The lad could come good. He's been on the bench quite a few times, so obviously Eddie Howe sees something in him to put him on the bench. But it's a strange one. It would be nice if we can find out of Eddie tomorrow in his press conference if he says, Isak's close to coming back. But then we've heard this before of Eddie, that players are close to come back, then they're out for another 4 or 5 weeks,
Oh, man, Joe Willock.
Yeah, exactly. So Sven Botman, he's only going to be away a few weeks, and he was away for months, wasn't he? So, look, we just have to wait and see. But it's going to be a tough game regardless, on Saturday. And if anybody underestimates Bournemouth, don't go down that track. But because, like I say, no games are easy in the Premier League, Man City will tell you that there's no easy games in the Premier League. They went and only beat Sheffield United 2-1. We went and slammed them 8-0. So it just shows you, But yeah, I think it'll be a tough game, but I think we can win that game.
Yeah.
As long as we tighten that midfield up, tighten the midfield up, and it's all about putting the ball in the back of the net. As long as we do that, and then happy days if we keep a clean sheet and get 3 points, I'll be well over the moon. I couldn't care if it comes off the keeper's arse in the 94th minute and goes in the back of the net. As long as we win the game, that's all that counts at the end of the day. Win ugly.
Simeone style. We gotta win that way. Shit. Mason, what's up, man?
Hello.
What do you think?
I'm optimistic, but I mean, with some of Bournemouth players, I know it's Sinister on a permanent deal. I mean, he's one of the threats up in the attack. It's going to be hard, but I feel like we'll win the game, but it'll be tight. But if we play like we did against Forest on Saturday gone, I'll be a bit concerned because I know Forest are a different kettle of fish compared to Bournemouth, but Bournemouth still do have some decent players in the ranks. But I've had a funny feeling about every time I play Bournemouth or play poor. I don't know if it's with a whole thing, but it's. I said I'm optimistic, but I feel concerned at the time. But we play poor against Bournemouth. It's just I get a funny feeling every single time because it's with obviously the connections with how and all that, but hopefully I'll be optimistic and hopefully we'll win the game on Saturday. But I feel like we need to start winning. No disrespect to Bournemouth because they do have some decent players, but we need to be winning against teams like Bournemouth. No disrespect because they do have some excellent players.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do agree with that. If we want to, we sit here and say, we should be fourth, we should be third, we should be top. But if we don't beat anybody, then you are where you need to be. We got to beat teams, and we got to say, Newcastle, you're good. You should be able to beat Luton at home. That should have been a win. I do understand there are a lot of Luton, people that said Luton was great and Luton, all this and that. But at the end of the day, they made City, Arsenal, Liverpool work hard. But at the end of the day, they got the job done. So we should have done the same. And so it was at home, so I felt like we should have won. And just thinking that, you need the points. You know that it's a must win for you. So the players should have had that mentality. Not saying that they don't want to win, but at the end of the day, you still got to get the job done. At some point, excuses have to go out the window. At some point, you know what I mean? You just must get it done. You're at home. But enough of that. But, we'll see what happens with Bournemouth. But, Philip, how do you think we can beat Bournemouth? And what do you think, Eddie? How do you think he's planning it out?
I think there's a potential we can roll them over. And I understand the uneasiness around it. We're not playing Real Madrid, though. And I think what I'll say is that we have to remember we did beat Aston Villa at their ground 3-1 when nobody else could beat them. And we gave everybody else the blueprint on how to do it. Man United went over there. I forgot who the other team was. Was it Chelsea went over it there and did it? They can send us a thank you letter after that. What I'd say is I think Howe did really well in terms of the tactics that he did against Nottingham Forest. And I think that's partly why it was a bit of an uneasy game, to supplement the fact that you're right. I think the midfield can only get tight. We miss Joe Linton so much. I don't think Elanga does that run if Joe Linton is there. I think sometimes even the things that we don't even see on the pitch, I don't think Elanga would even want to run past Joe Linton because he knows what could happen, because everyone sees what could happen when it comes to Joe Linton. But he's not there, and the fear factor has gone. So I think what Howe has done, I think Bruno was playing more like an 8 or a 10. He was even saying it after the interview, a lot more closer to Gordon as well. Yeah. And obviously he got the 2 goals, and I want to say an assist. I'm pretty wrong about that. And then no, it was Botman with the assist. And so he had a fantastic game in a role as a number 10. So a lot more Bruno at front, especially for the first half, probably 60 minutes. And then when we needed a little bit more control in midfield, Bruno had to drop in. Bruno's just very, very important to us. Too important almost to a default, which is annoying. But Trippier, when we were building up, Trippier would tuck in with Miley. Miley is supposed to be doing that left-hand side. And Miley, I believe, is going to be our next Carrick, but he's 17 years old and he can't those type of things that Joe Linton can do. He has his growth physically as a man hasn't caught up with his talent just yet. So it's no kind of slight on Miley at all. But he's going to learn that role. I think he's a quick learner and he'll get better at it as well. Look, he's not going to play Livramento because he's not playing a left back in that position. He plays 3 in the back. He plays 3 centre backs. And that's just the end of it. But he's done a little bit of makeshift stuff because he's had to. He's got no Joe Linton and he's got no Joe Willock. At least I hope to see Joe Willock on the bench. And it's worked relatively well. I think when it comes to looking at Bournemouth's like average positions and stuff like that, they're a lot more balanced team. So with Luton and with Nottingham Forest, they all really crowded around that left side where Burn was, and they went for it. And fair play to them. it seems to me that Bournemouth, and they might change it on the day, it seems to me that Bournemouth are a little bit more balanced. They do left, they do right. They're not overly concerned about, attacking one side or the other. But at the same time, they concede a lot, and we create a lot of chances, and we convert a lot of chances. It's just getting that side, that aspect of our game right when, for instance, when Bruno does lose the ball, because it's usually Bruno on the other side of the pitch, and there's a breakaway, what we do about it. And so I'm a lot more confident in terms of what we can do. It's going to be on our pitch. I think we'll stretch the play a lot more. I'm not saying that he's like the next Isak, but I like Gordon up top. I think he rotates really well with the other players. He has really, really good movement. And he's always looking for the ball, whether he drops in or he makes the runs. He gives us a lot of options, and we've got a lot of players that are chipping in with goals from set pieces in particular. I don't know if you noticed, but we've got a lot better at scoring from set pieces nowadays. Botman, Shah, all of them. Shah got the striker of a number 9, is incredible. I think we can beat Bournemouth, and I think we can beat them convincingly. And I think we've got the mentality to. I don't think we're overlooking any of these teams. Sometimes it's just tiredness and fatigue, of which we've got a lot less of nowadays. And with another week of practice, trying this new way of playing, I think we'll only get better.
Yeah, good points right there by the one and only Philip. Let me get to the manager, to the coach of U.S. Soccer, Kevin. Life is still not ready, man. What the hell?
No, we're ready. I'm just need to finish this thing. We're
Okay, man.
No, I've been writing all sorts of stuff down, and
well, give us the cliff notes, man. Give us the
if it was me,
give us the highlights.
Well, all the best. Like the Mike Wynn said, like everybody said, is the overload of a midfield, because Forest play, Bournemouth play a 4-2-3-1 like Forest did, and one ball penetrates through the lines. It doesn't matter where Bruno plays, it doesn't matter where Sean Longstaff plays, it doesn't matter where Miley plays, because the depth is not there. We're flat, we're square. So therefore, what I would personally do is I would completely change the shape, just to play a bit of shithousery and a bit of fuckery with other teams. And Eddie Howe tried to do this in the summer when they were here in the United States. He tried to go as a 3. Didn't look great, because hear me out, Paul. I know you're shaking your head. Just hear me out. Because I would play Lascelles, Bottom, and Byrne as a 3, because that's typically how it goes. Trippier tucks inside, but he can play as a wing back. You can have Tino as a wing back. You can have Shaw sitting in front. And if the ball goes beyond and the ball goes forward, then you can create a 4. Then you can have 6 going forward. Then you can have Bruno as an 8, Longstaff as an 8, Miggy or Gordon as a 10. Then you can have Isak or Gordon, vice versa, whoever's fit. Then you can have them as the 9 or a false 9. You have to have, in my opinion, multiple ways of playing different teams. Bournemouth are a very good footballing side. I don't know if Kluivert's fit. I think Kluivert, if he's on his game, if he plays out wide on the right, he could probably do the same what Elanga done, or what the boy from Luton done, and just put Dan Burn on toast. So the first goal, for argument's sake, not disagreeing between tactics, but at the same time, I did not disagree with it. I can see Joe Linton being deep in that, for that ball to not being played forward, but with the high press, with Longy going into the corner flag, Miggy missing the block, Longy missing the block to take it out for a throw-in or a goal kick. Miley's left isolated, but if you look at the gap between Byrne and Botman, I mean, I don't care who you are. Anybody on this panel could have played a pass through that gap. But in my opinion, Byrne expects the ball to play out, being played out wide. It's indifferent to go from typically the wingers go from out to in. This run was in to out. This was out to in. So Elanga came in on the inside. Botman was miles away. Botman was isolated. So therefore, Burns tucked in closer to Botman. Then you've got somebody like Tino, and then you can look back at it at NUFC TV or whatever highlight reel you look at. Anthony Gordon is at the halfway line when that ball's being played. And that's fact. So if that's the case, I would change it slightly. I would just manipulate our system. Yes, you could play Lascelles. Yes, you could drop Burn. Yes, you could. I would play a 3 and not see how it goes, but I think we have the players available because Dan Burns a true centre back and he can play left side of a 3. Botman's a true centre back and he plays central. Lascelles is a header and kicker of the ball, pretty much. That's all he does. And then you got Tino and Trippier running up and down the outsides. And then you have overloads in the middle of the midfield to where we can control the game versus being overrun in a 4-2-3-1. If we play 4-3-3, we'll be overrun in a 4-2-3-1 because who goes to their 2 6s essentially? Who goes and picks up them? Then we have an inverted triangle in that part of the field. Then you leave the defensive midfielder, whoever that may be. You've got double pivots. You got a lot of movement, rotational. Who picks up them too? So you leave that one isolated, and then if it's Bruno, for argument's sake, just for argument, he's generally going to be the one who sits. If he gets drawn in, then you're going to leave that gap of 20 yards, 15 yards in between the lines, and then you've got 3. So then you're looking at a 4v4 going towards goal, and that's a problem. And I've said that, and like Mike Wynn said this, we've said this for weeks. I've said this for months, where our midfield's too flat. We've got no depth. Bruno's not a 6 as long as where the sun doesn't shine. He's not a 6. Because he's too flat. He wants to play higher. So if he takes a higher position than everybody else within that group, Longstaff, Miley, Joe Linton joins in and takes a position outside of it, because we do like a gang press essentially, where we'll play and play outside the stop. It's called pressure attacking zones. So the ball goes into corner flags, and you can stop the press, and you can apply the press in pressure attacking zones, and play so the opposition can play outside and stop playing internally, so it doesn't hurt us internally. But if you're flat, then we've got a problem. So I would change it and overload the midfield and stop their play going forward. And whatever the player, whatever, but Eddie Howe will not do that. He's stubborn. I'm a coach. I'm stubborn. We'll play the same way. But if he does play 4-3-3, he'll go man to man like he did against Villa, which worked extremely well, and stop them playing and play higher up the pitch and get pretty much on the halfway line. And stop allowing them to play, and especially when we're at home, we'll have to literally work our nuts off within the final third. If we don't do that, then stop them playing, because they like to play out. They like to play, which is fine. Look, they're good football inside. So if we stop them playing, then we'll be successful. But again, if the remit is, we'll just drop off like we have done. But if you look at it, when we go up in games, when we played, who was it, last game, we went back to, again against Villa, we went to a 5 essentially, and it was like a 3-5-2. So again, he can manipulate it within his game management. But again, do you start like that or do you finish like that? Again, that's the decision what Eddie Howe has to make.
Yep.
For me, I would go with what he's finished with and be solid and play on not a counter attack, but still have that press based on who's playing there.
Hold on, did Philip just fall asleep?
So, Kev,
Oh,
at the start of that, you said with the three at the back. So Byrne on the left, and then you said Botman in the middle, and then you said Lascelles.
Yep.
Did you mean Lascelles?
I did.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So
then
where
Shaw
did you
playing the
go
six.
then?
we gotta move on to the predictions. So we gotta move on to the predictions.
I thought you were talking about replacing.
I'm happy
with
now.
you.
I've got the mighty win happy, so I'm good. Good
We're
night.
not. We're
I'll
not
see you
gonna. I
next
know
week.
we're not gonna replace Burn, man. Don't worry about it, man. Just calm down, drink some water, take your aspirin, man.
You got a
Listen,
full
we gotta
glass of
go.
wine, man.
We gotta wrap up. We gotta go predictions. Your man of the match, and obviously who's gonna win it, but scores is about the same thing. So quickly, Paul, what is your predicted scores, man?
Well, we just don't seem to be able to keep a clean sheet at the moment. So I think Bournemouth will score. I think we will as well. I'll say it's going to sound an easier game, but I think it'll be a tight 3-1. If you know what I mean by that. It will sound comfortable, but I think it'll be a like a nasty 3-1 when we do finally just win it, but it'll be a tough one. Man of the match, I think Bruno again. I think he's in really good form, which is nice. Good to have him, and when he was at high at the pitch, he was so much better. You can see he loves playing there, so I think we're going to play around with that. So I think Bruno man of the match, and then 3-1 to Newcastle at home.
All right, Roy.
It's a hard game. We can't keep a clean sheet, so we'll win. Playing at home, we'll win it 2-1. I think Gordon will get one, and hopefully Dan Burns scores from a header.
Yeah, hopefully so.
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah, big up Billy. Billy Trey's in the chat. Billy, you don't sleep, man. Come on, man. You know, but big ups. He says we can't play 3-5-2. We don't have one up front, let alone two. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Big up Billy in the chat. The mighty win, man. What do you think the score is going to be, man?
I think the Geordie wall will stand firm yet again. So I don't think.
Here we go with the Geordie, all the old ass sayings.
I will happily take 1-0.
All right. Well, what's your score?
1-0.
1-0. You talked all that. You talked all that crap, all that smack you talked about. You're gonna say 1-0. I thought you were about to say we're about to beat them 10-0.
If anyone picked my team, if anyone picked my team, he'd be talking 4-0, but he won't.
Okay.
So it'll be 1-0.
I'll predict 4-0 in.
Bournemouth are a good team. Don't underestimate.
Oh, so now we're gonna ask. See, that's the agenda. That's the agenda right there. Now we got to fear Bournemouth now. You know, they're trying to put that fear in our hearts. You know, the mighty winner in his.
But I'm telling you, they're not a turnover. There's no easy game in the Premiership. It's not like the NFL.
Okay. Okay. He's coming with the American jokes. He's coming with the American jokes. I got you, man. I got you. Me and Taylor Swift, we got you, brother. Billy Trey says, you know, he comes on he comes on the show a lot. Billy from Tune Review, by the way. Big shout out to the Tune Review. He says 3-0. The Tune, Burn, Longstaff, and Jimmy Nail.
Yeah, Jimmy Nail with his crocodile shoes. Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's Big River.
Look at Billy, man. Tony, what is
Billy, Jimmy Nail?
Yeah, what is your prediction, Tony?
He hit the nail on the head, didn't he? Look, I might be a bit of a boring bastard here, but look, I said on my stream 1-0 as well. Look, I'll take 1-0 all day because look, my head says it'll be a 1-1 draw, and I don't want it to be, but my heart says a 1-0 win, so I'm going to go with my heart 1-0 win. And as I say, I don't care if it comes off Neto's arse in the last minute of the game, as long as we get the 3 points. And I'll be happy with a clean sheet. That'll be an absolute bonus as well. So look, I'll take 1-0 all day. And I'm trying to be realistic here. But, I mean, yes, I could say, we should be. Yes, we should be going out and beating teams like Bournemouth 3-4-0. But we're not spanking teams like that at the moment because we haven't got the squad fully fit at the moment. The likes of Willock, the likes of Isak. There's quite a lot of players out. So, yeah, I'm going to take the safe way out, and that's a 1-0 win. I know people might say that's the easy way out, but it's not because we're still going to get 3 points. But yeah, I think we'll be all right. And I think Botman will have a great game for us as well at the back. Him and Shea. He'll block out Solanke.
Solanke, man, hopefully Solanke shows us that he wants to be part of the team. A little.
Let's hope we see Solanke.
An own goal wouldn't be bad. Wouldn't be bad for morale. But Mason, what's your prediction, brother?
It depends if Bournemouth turn up on the day. I know they've got that Unal, who they've just seen from Getafe. It depends if him and Solanke turn up on the day, and all the rest of the players as well. So I'm going to go with a tight 2-1 Newcastle because I feel like Bournemouth will give a game.
All right, that's a good prediction right there. Philip, did you finish? Sorry.
You wanted to be man of the match, did you?
Man of the match. What do you think?
I'm going to go with Bruno again. If he plays like what he did against Forest on Saturday night, I feel like he'll be man of the match again. If he bosses on midfield again and gets the 2 goals, I feel like he'll be the man of the match. Because I know we're missing Joe Linton, but I feel like he's still a massive part of our midfield.
Yep. All right. Philip, what's your predictions, mate?
Yeah, 4-1 Newcastle. I think Barnes will probably get 2, probably be a man of the match. I'm edging towards 5. I think we'll get 4.
Say it with your chest, Philip. Say it with your chest, brother. 4-1. Say it louder, man.
4-1 Newcastle. I think, 2 for Barnes. I can't figure out who the other 2, but I think probably one of them will be a defender. I'll give Barnes man of the match.
Damn, just like that, man. Direct 4-1. We're about to spank Bournemouth. All right. Kevin, what's your predictions, man?
I'll go with NUFC matters 3-1 Stuart Penman, and Big Dan Burns going to get man of the match. No, he's not. I lied. No, he's not. No.
Bruno's got the happy clap.
No, I'll give it to Bruno for the man of the match, even though he just controlled it from start to finish and control the game and win 3-1.
All right. With that, on that note, we got to wrap up, ladies and gentlemen. We went a little bit too long, but it is what it is. I appreciate everybody coming on. Of course, Roy is late as hell in Qatar, so I appreciate you coming on, mate. It's been amazing. Paul, Derek the Mighty Win, Tony, It's All Black and White, Mason, Toon Tactics TV, Philip, Kevin Chilvers. I'm about to subscribe to our friends channel, NUFC Matters. The link is right there. Also, Toon Tactics TV, It's All Black and White, Tony, and the Toon Review as well. The links all in the chat. Remember, you can become a member of the show. There's a join button down there somewhere by the subscribe button. So, join for as little as, I think, 0.75. Like, how does that sound? How is that in British pounds? Like, just
1.5 million.
Yeah, somewhere it's less than $1. So there you go. Yeah, man. You guys moved away from euros. You guys try to do your own thing. So but hey, subscribe, become a member, smash the like button, and listen. We had a great time. So we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. We got to sit down with Pete Davey from the Loaded Mag. We're gonna sit down with Pete and we're gonna chat. So. I don't think I will do the press conference reaction. I think I have an appointment or something, so I might not be able to. But regardless, tomorrow to sit down with Pete Davey from the Loaded Mag, and again the weekend we got the match reaction and the American Magpie show later on Saturday. So appreciate your support, and again, it's been a blast with you guys. Always having a good time. So appreciate it. We will see you on the next one. Peace out.
Yeah.
Yeah.